Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Spirituality and Business Interview Series. I have with me the amazing Aoife O'Leary, and I'm so excited to have her here to share her experience and wisdom with you. Aoife is passionate about both writing and music, and she's the creator of the podcast and YouTube channel, My Message is Love, where she offers writing guidance for people who are writing copy or books in support of their business and brand. It's so wonderful to have you here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So could you tell us a little bit about what your spiritual path is?
Well, my spiritual path is it's everything in life. It's been, for me, first of all, spirituality is life. Everything is spiritual, because just like we have a body that we live through life with, and that's physical, and a body, and we know the difference when you see people who are living and who have died. It's a world away. Our spirit is what we embody our bodies with. It's like the energy and that works through us. And I think that what I learned to do growing up as a girl here in Ireland, and was I was taught by people who did their best. They just taught me what they knew, but a lot of that was to try to control, or to try to control the outside world, and to try and do this to get that, and all those kind of things. And my spiritual practice has been not so much even unlearning that, but just coming home. I in my mind, I call it coming home. And meditation I do every day, which is because it really helps to just be still and allow the world and the busyness and the stuff and the tasks and the whatever else is going on in my life to just fall back, and to just come into presence and breathing and stillness. And it's taken time. It's taken time to get good at this, and I'm not great at it every day, but I find so much peace in that. I actually always find peace every day anyway.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and sometimes it's very quick and it's effortless and it's all so wow, it's blissful, and other days it's a real struggle, because I have a busy, active brain and a busy, active life, like most people. And so to actually come to a place of being sort of still is really important. And that's my daily spiritual practice. And the second part of it is bringing that throughout the day, because it can be really easy to sit down in isolation in a nice room or light a candle or whatever, and be like, oh, I'm so peaceful and still and aligned and all the rest of it. But then actually going out into the world and keeping that in different situations, and staying open and meeting people with an energy of openness and kindness, and releasing that control, especially when things happen that don't go the way I planned. Recently, a recording was supposed to be on a specific day, and when it was changed, my first reflex action was no this, and then in my head, and I'm trained enough now to go into no, you know better here, like, and let's just stay open, and it actually worked out better than I could have expected. So my spiritual practice and my own pathway is to commit to that meditative practice, and becoming still and detaching from the busyness and this stuff every day, because life is fun and the busyness is great, but being in the busyness 100% means you get very lost and you get very reactive and chaotic. Whereas having that real grounding means you can enjoy this and be separate and part of it, but really be still within it, and the bottom line is happy. Just feels so much more peaceful, surrendered, happy. It doesn't matter if something goes wrong. It doesn't matter if I behave in a way that's less than a stellar example of a human being. It just matters that you come back and that you try again. So that's what it is. A long answer.
So I know that for a lot of people, like, that's kind of as much as you could call it, like, the goal of their practice, like what they're trying to achieve. And I know there are so many people who have a really hard time. Like, they know they should meditate, and maybe they do sit there and go a bit, but they don't know like how to find that peace, especially not every day. You know, like when things get busy, it falls from the wayside. When you were kind of early on to that practice, was there anything that really helped you get into the place where it really was every day and throughout your day as well?
Yes. And I've been, for many years, I would commit to meditation and then fall off and then get back on. And one thing I realized was that I was doing meditation in a transactional way, that I was sitting down and doing what I thought I was supposed to be spiritual, so therefore I'll get the result of this. And that didn't work ultimately, because you get frustrated, because life doesn't work like that. Life doesn't, well, I mean, I don't want my life to work like that. I want my life to flow through me and to feel good and for me to be open. So rather than I'm doing this intending to get this result, and if I don't get it, I'm not going to be happy, and so I'm not going to meditate. So it was a bit like that for a while. And then there were two things that I really committed at the start of this year, because I had been committed, and then I talked to another friend, a friend of mine, and I was saying that, I'm like, everything works so easily for me, this is the way it's going to be, whatever. And a few days later he said, how's that going? And I said, oh, I forgot about that, I'm still doing the meditation. And he said to me, yeah, and in next you're going to tell me this doesn't work. I don't know why. There was something about that I went, he's right. And we show what we're committed to, not by the words that we say, but by how we live, by the actions we take. And so I really committed to it every single day. And I just, it's like a transformation, because, and I noticed it so much in myself when, especially we had a family tragedy earlier on this year, where somebody kind of close to my family died. And a lot of people, well, obviously that's distressing and upsetting for people, and people react in different ways all around me. And I stayed calm throughout it. Now I had my own upset, of course, but I stayed calm through it. And it was only afterwards that I realized, wow, I felt and behaved completely differently to how I ever would have before. And I could stay steady. And that was really when I knew, okay, this is working, but not in terms of this is working, now I get this, now my meditation is working, but more in this is working because I can feel I'm in a different place, and I don't know where it's leading, but I trust it. And that was really different. But still, when I have days, and this I hope would be helpful to people, but when I have days where I just don't want to meditate, like they happen, but the first thing is I know I'm committed to it, and this is like my promise to myself. So it doesn't matter if I delay it till 9 or 10 at night, I'm doing it, you know? So it's just like as if I promised somebody else I would absolutely do something for them and have it sent off to them. I know this is my absolute commitment to myself. So no way out. And the second thing is sometimes life happens. Like, for example, when I was during that stage that I told you about, for over 3 or 4 days, I normally do, well, now I do a long meditation at the moment. I don't even want to say how long. I don't want to freak people out. But at the time, 5-10 minutes those days where I was going, that's okay. It's just a matter that I do it. Yeah. And the other thing is the days that I find that I'm really resistant, I ease myself in. So, you know, if you're minding a baby and you're trying to get a baby to sleep and the baby's really restless, and you might put on quiet music, or you might try and soothe them, or you might, if my mind is really busy on a day, I'll put on music that'll quieten me down, and I'll darken the room, and I'll just kind of, it might take me 20 minutes or half an hour to get to a space where, okay, I'm ready now to sit down and be still. And so that helps me, you know, those kind of things. Because it really is a commitment. And I know from times when I wasn't doing it, I mean, for people to start, 2-3 minutes even is really helpful. If you can just slow down and concentrate on your breath, or if you get somewhere early and you're in your car, if you can sit down and be still, and even set a timer on your phone for 2-3 minutes. And if you can't, be still in your head, because our minds are used to going. Our minds are supposed to be thinking. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's thinking all the time is exhausting, and looping all the time is exhausting. So even if there's music you like, or I can link to a few things that I listen to, or even on Spotify, there's some quiet playlists, or piano, even 3 or 4 minutes of just listening and breathing. All that stuff is so beneficial, and it's a little bit addictive because you feel really good. So if you stick with it, it does make you want to commit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the music, apparently jazz music actually puts you in a different brain waves. That's definitely something that you can do if you're one of the people that has a hard time just sitting in silence.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. That is
you're welcome.
Something that I know so many people struggle with, and ultimately you're right that it's about really committing to yourself and saying, I'm going to make this promise to myself, and that's actually a very many people find it to be a difficult thing to do, to make and keep promises to ourselves the way we do to other people, but it's so valuable to learn how to do that.
Yeah, and in the short term, what you can do is even find an accountability partner or a friend who's also, like, you can't really depend on, like, because I have that for music, because music is so important to me and it's so important to a friend of mine, but we weren't prioritizing it the way we wanted. So we committed to each other, and it's funny, on days where I would have let myself off the hook, I showed up because I promised I would. So you can do the same for meditation. And
absolutely.
And for some people, a walk in a park, or a walk by the sea, or gardening, or those kind of things, that can be a sort of a meditation instead, again, to find a way in. Different things work for different people.
They do. For me, for a while, drawing and painting, like, I noticed I would kind of go into a meditative trance while I was doing it. A lot of people, we think of meditation as just sitting still and being silent, and there's so many other ways to get the benefit.
Definitely. Yeah,
absolutely. Wonderful. So thank you again so much for sharing that. It's really valuable. I know it's something that so many people struggle with.
That was my pleasure. Because especially this stuff is a huge part of my life, but it's not necessarily the same for people around me. So, or even in the same way. So it's actually really lovely to be able to talk about it. So thank you so much.
Absolutely, I'm glad. So can you share a bit about us, with us about how your spirituality has impacted your business? And obviously the meditation has had an impact on your whole life.
Well, there's a couple of things, I suppose, that with when I started a couple of businesses, and before I did them head-based, I should do this because I'm good at this, and I can make, this I can see how this would work, or made business plans the same way. January I'll do this, and that'll lead to this, and February, and the thing I forgot to include, or didn't know to include in those at the time, is me. I'm sensitive, and I'm passionate, and I'm emotional, like in a healthy way. But so that just means I need to love what I'm doing, because then it's easy to give whatever time and energy is necessary. But if I don't love it, it doesn't matter how logical it is, it doesn't inspire me. There's no fire in me to do it. And when I do love it, it's effortless. And even I might necessarily love everything. Like, say, with the podcast, I love the recording part.
Oh dear. I'm sorry about this, everyone.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry about that, everyone.
No problem.
Yes.
Yeah, like I love those parts, and I love when I do interviews, I love that, or even the writing for all of those things, I love that. But then the admin, where I have to go in and set everything up and schedule and change the size of pictures, and I don't love any of that. But it's kind of, I enjoy the other stuff so much, it's okay to do, you know.
Yeah.
But in general, to really enjoy stuff. So the spiritual part of me is realizing that it's okay to prioritize loving things.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it any less business-like, you know. In fact, it's now I realize differently that that the truer I am to myself, or the more true I am to myself, the better able I am to connect with people who get are on the same wavelength as me. And then when, especially with the coaching and the book coaching, and also I've been helping people in general, kind of in a life coaching sense, I start and end every session with a meditation, usually even just for a few minutes. And because the thing is that, again, the same principle about the busyness and that our minds, and sometimes we're rushing and trying to click in to a website and make sure we're set up and we're on, you know, all those things. Whereas to actually stop and be still and ground and breathe and set an intention for the next hour. And the intention often is just to have clarity, or to learn, or to have, to feel like there's an insight, or, you know, those kind of things. So it's not so much I'm going to achieve this and this and this and this, and more just to allow space for life to flow. And to, I know it's like a life coaching and cliche, but to create the space, you know.
Yeah.
But it actually kind of pushes the other things aside to give a space to attend to whatever's important right now to kind of come through. And so that is where spirituality comes in, and to close it down at the end. Yeah. And then also I think that our bodies have wisdom that comes through to us before we can articulate it logically and with words. And society obviously values the articulation and the seeming smart and whatever, but not more so than the, oh, I had a knot in my stomach there for a second. So I do. And actually, there's an incredible book that speaks all about this, Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. And he talks throughout it about how physiologically we show signs of change before we can voice them. And so a lot of the time when I'm working with people and we have that space, and it's really kind of sacred to be sharing in the way we are. And you know, when you really create the space to do this work, sometimes the insights that come through are not what you expect. You get surprised. Yeah. So I'll be really listening also really listening to who's speaking to me and who I'm working with, but also paying attention to my own body, because sometimes when they say something, say something jarred with me there. I don't know why. It's like something felt this, or can you talk a bit more? And always that leads to something, because our bodies, I think, are so much smarter. Our intuition is so much smarter, and it's like insight or guidance that's available to all of us. So it's like all the same energy working through all of us anyway, I think. So it's just about being open to that. So there are some ways that I use spirituality, and also with music. And anybody, and you know yourself, to drawing and painting, there's a certain amount of work you need to do to work on your craft. And then the rest of the work is forgetting all that and just allowing life flow through you, the creative flow. So all of that is, I suppose, what it's easier maybe to call that stuff spiritual than it is, you know, like washing dishes, but probably they're just the same thing.
It can be, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And actually remember seeing someone talking about like mindfulness, and just like while you're washing the dishes, you know, just feel the soap bubbles, you know, just be in that moment of washing the friggin' dishes. You know, it's the most mundane thing ever, and it can be a spiritual movement.
Yeah. Sometimes there are days I think I love driving. Like I didn't even, like I don't notice it most of the time because I'm so busy going from here to there. And also I suppose because it's so mechanical and I'm sort of, not really mechanical at all. So, but it's like, or you see a sunrise or something, or well, more a sunset over beautiful skies, or even tea. I love tea and I have several cups of tea a day. So sometimes I forget to actually be present and go, I love this, and it's like life, there's so much magic to be savored in the ordinary. And I know I've heard people say that that at the end of the day you miss the things that you would miss about circumstances or people aren't the extraordinary, they're the ordinary, so that's again when this taking the spirituality or the meditation throughout the day, it's exactly what you're saying about stopping for a moment and reminding myself to be here now, that this is exactly all that matters. We only ever have the present moment, and to be really present in all of life as it happens, which sometimes that's so easy, sometimes not so much, but it's like the practice part, I suppose.
Absolutely. And yes, noticing the things that we actually enjoy is a practice as well, because the things that we don't like, they irritate us. We can't ignore them. And then so many of us, we take for granted the things that we do like.
Yeah. And so is painting and drawing is what other things do you love?
I actually like, and this is, so for anyone watching who doesn't know, I'm an American currently living in Ireland, so not far from Aoife right now. And in America, we all have dryers. Clotheslines are very rare, whereas in Ireland, they're much more common. And I actually really love hanging up the laundry to dry. That's something I never would have guessed.
Yeah.
Something I just find it really cool.
Yeah. That's really cool. I never thought of that one. Yeah. Love it.
Absolutely. So while we were preparing for this interview, one of the things that you mentioned is how people define spirituality and business, and how we limit ourselves with those definitions.
Yeah, and that's especially now. Business isn't like it what would have been before, where it means a bank, or it means a shop, or it can be whatever we define it to be. So I would be thinking that people can define business whatever way suits them. So your business could be your service and what you have to offer in the world. Again, it's that quote that I don't have to check who said it, but none of us is given a purpose that isn't meant to be shared. So your business could be what you love and what you're happy to share with people and work with people in relation to. And honestly, more and more, I think that the biggest part of that is the energy you bring to it, because, so I help people with copy or writing their book, or I also do music, I do Pilates, and how many people in the world do all those things? So why would anybody connect with me? It's because they feel like they get that they're on the same wavelength, or that I can help them understand something or open up to something. So it's about the energy that I bring to what I create is the important part of the business, or anything I endeavor, or in my whole life. And similarly for all of us and the people that I connect with, or I love to learn from, or us doing this interview right now and this conversation right now. It's all about that. So business as well. Is another thing that I was working on with around changing my own ideas in relation to this, was about how the work is play. So, we have this idea that, even my hands, my uncle used to say to me that he could tell by my hands that I've never done a day's work in my life. And that's not true. But the idea is, like, if you're not burnt out, wrecked, exhausted at the end of the day, that you haven't worked hard enough. Where it's like, well, surely if you're doing something that's the days that I've worked on things that have lit me up completely, I might be tired at the end of the day, or really, really exhausted or whatever, but I'm bursting with
Yeah.
joy or lit up through what it is. And that's, to me, more important. So I think that you can define business however you want and have it really line up with spirituality, so that your business is a spiritual practice as much as anything else, and a spiritual practice being that alignment and that peace and that joy and that openness and that willingness to allow life unfold. And I know that that's, there are practicalities obviously involved with business. Like me talking like that isn't going to get a podcast out on a certain date, or like the work needs to be done. But yeah, so I think that that's the last kind of part I'd be thinking is about the feeling. How do you want to feel? The more that I can lean into the feeling, life has a way of kind of unfolding to support that. What do I want to feel, and what can I give, and how can I, how can this feel more aligned, and all those kind of questions that seem so abstract in one way but are absolutely practical at the end of the day. Because all of my attempts to create XYZ businesses, and I think there was one in web design, which was, I forgot I was qualified in web design. I found the certificate I found it a couple of weeks ago. So I forgot that. Like, it was so out of alignment. I mean, I manage all the websites myself just so I can, so that I can get things done quickly and move them quickly, but I don't code them, I don't have CSS. It's like, what was I thinking? But I was thinking from a place that business had to be hard, and spirituality was a nice idea, but it was something I would do for hobby and almost, and now I realize that I can't live like that. My life needs to be my work, and my work needs to be my life. And so there'll be people who'll think, no. And there'll be people who think, finally, somebody's saying stuff I can understand, So
absolutely. And I think we have enough voices saying, you have to work hard, you have to hustle. So and anyone who feels that that's really in alignment with them, they have plenty of role models.
They do, yeah.
And I do think that we're starting to realize that that doesn't have to be the only way, because something that frustrated me, this idea that like every moment of your life has to be dedicated to like struggling to bring your business into existence. And then you have like even like Richard Branson talks about how he looks for the fun in his business. Like that's his motivation to create businesses, and it's most people would say it's been a success.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think somebody had asked him again, I didn't check this before, but about what if he had to do one thing every day, what would he do as a priority? And he said exercise, go for a swim around his island or something. And it's because it's that understanding then, well, if I don't work, nothing else is going to, if I'm not in a good place, then how can I expect to run a business that's in a good place? And I suppose for me, it's meditation is an essential, but for other people, it's exercise, and so it's, and then because you can bring your best to something, and then people can feel that you're excited because, it makes a big difference.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Nice. So thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. It was so valuable, and I really think it is very valuable to have someone who has made that meditation practice and has kind of reached the place you have as just as a role model, showing yes, it's possible. Because so many of us, I know that a lot of people have this idea that the only way to really reach the level you're at is like to go and live in a monastery and meditate 8 hours a day. It's like, no.
No. Plus, I still lose my temper in the car and give out if somebody cuts in front of me, and then I go, hello, what was that about? But I think the important thing is that we're just human beings. So it doesn't matter if we make a mistake, or it doesn't matter if we have a plan and it doesn't work. All that matters is that we do our best, and we're the best that we can be to ourselves and other people, and we just get back on track. you know, because it's like, if we're, what's the point if we're not going to be doing things that make us feel happy? Like, you know, I don't subscribe to this struggling through life. I subscribe to working, but when you love what you do, you know, like we're talking about music or painting, you want to spend the time at it. And a business is just an extension of that. When there's something that you want to do and that you want to share with people, then you want to spend time at it. So it's not about hustle or making yourself or struggle. It's just about doing the work, because the work is play, you know. What a novel idea.
Absolutely. And speaking of novels, I believe you have a course to tell us about.
Yes, I have a free course that's called How to Write Your Self-Help Book, because a lot of the people that I've worked with, they're sharing their own life experiences to other people who are kind of finding their own way, and whatever the case may be. And even though it's How to Write Your Self-Help Book, it works just as well for a nonfiction book or something like that in support of your brand. So that's a free course that's at mymessageslove.com. And then I have music as well. That's at aoifeoleary.com, and there will be more of that. So I'll be putting loads of those things up. We just recorded a song last week. Thank you. So that was really cool. And then I have loads more to come over the next while. So that as well.
Yes. And so the links to that are below this video. So absolutely make sure to check those out and see how to write your own self-help book and the amazing music that Aoife makes. And thank you so much, Aoife, for taking the time to be here today and share all of that with us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. It was gorgeous to talk with you.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, as always, to everyone watching this. Thank you so much for being here and letting us be a part of your journey. This interview series has been so rewarding, and I really appreciate everyone who's been a part of it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.